Hello everyone, this is Soviet Bear, and today I have a returning guest on my channel. His name is Vladimir Larin. He is originally from Kiev, Ukraine, but now he lives in Russia, St. Petersburg. And Vladimir, he's how we say, he's a sane Ukrainian patriot. He loves his country, but he absolutely despises the current, vile, asinine, fascist regime in Kiev. And he has some sort of pro-Russian ideals. He is all for friendship with Russia, and he suffered for his ideals. In 2015 he was assaulted by supporters of the Kiev regime, and he was heavily injured. His leg was heavily injured. He spent several months in the hospital, but now he has recovered and he is absolutely fine. And he says he is absolutely, fed up with the Russophobia in his country, and says his country is actually going to hell right now. And he probably has a lot to say. So what do you have to say? What are you going to do right now? I know how it's painful, to see how your country just goes to hell, to an absolute hell.
Hello, so I'm first of all I'm acting. Yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing now, and then I'm trying to think what can I do else. Yeah, I do not make so many videos. Yeah, like on my previous channel, Patsantovet it was called.
Yeah,
Actually, as I'm fed up, with the topic of problems in Ukraine. The problem of Ukraine are every day. Yeah, and they are the
yeah,
same. They're the same for 2.5 years, almost the third year, are the same problems in Ukraine. Yeah, and the main problem is in the brain of so-called Maidanuti,
yeah,
yeah, as we likely call them.
yeah,
Yeah, now I work for AMDN.news. I'm the producer of this project. So first of all, I lead a column that's called VDNH. VDNH, like in the Soviet times, like the greatest success of economy, of industry, and all same you can read daily about new factories, about new products, about what it can do against sanctions and so on. Even
yeah.
how.
Import substitution.
Yeah. You've got the deal. And as well, I lead also another project that is called Positive Russia on Facebook. That's on Facebook. You can call it, find it, just pr.positive Russia. Yeah, you'll
Yeah,
give a link.
yeah. I'll give a link in the
You'll give a link.
description
Yeah,
box. Yes, yes, absolutely do. Yeah,
where all the English-speaking people who are interested in Russia can just see some interesting short posts about different aspects of Russian life, for example, as well of Russian people, of Russian culture, of Russian history, of Russian as well as industry, of Russian beautiful places yeah, in English. And of course, like it's a project of AMDN.news, we've got many interesting politic demotivators. Yeah, many of those as fakes, many some interesting photoshops. Yeah, really actual. Yeah,
yeah,
and so if you like, as well as for Ukrainian problems as well.
yeah,
So you're welcome and welcome to users, and of course we are open to with comments, and I am really interested in getting what people will think about this.
yeah.
That
Look,
is shortly what I do now.
yeah, yeah. That's great. That's fantastic. Well, it's there should be more positive news about Russia, because as we can see in the mainstream Western media, there is a lot of negative about Russia, and people say a lot of bad stuff about Russia, and the journalists are sometimes the stories are just made up lies, sometimes they are good distortion of truth and half truths. But positive things about Russia, it's more and more independent people like us tell positive things about Russia, because nobody pays us for our posts, for our comments, for because however I have been accused of being on the Kremlin payroll so many times, and people often ask me, how much does Putin pay you, and how much does the Kremlin pay you, and are you a troll from Troll Factory in St. Petersburg? Are you from Olgino Troll Factory? And the stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but uh, but no,
I think
Putin.
all killer trolls live in chocolate, really.
well, well, actually, nobody's paying me for what I am doing.
Yeah, of course.
So neither does you get paid from anyone. I mean, just we all do this, by the call of our hearts. We all do it from our souls. We do not, do it for money. We have no, how we should say, ulterior motives. Yeah, we don't have ulterior motives.
From heart to heart.
Yeah. So, so my another question is that the situation in Ukraine is getting, it's deteriorating so rapidly, and just the economy is just completely in toilet. And Barack Obama once said that Russian economy is in tatters, but I think that the true economy in tatters is in Ukraine. So what's going to be next? Just a few predictions, please, Vladimir.
Oh,
Just
first of all, there is no economy in Ukraine. Absolutely, that's really default. That's just impossible to imagine how it really now works. How it really works, like maybe only thanks to God, yeah,
yeah,
of poor Ukrainian people, yeah, as nothing, as economy is ruined absolutely. What about predictions? I've got to first of all predict why. That first of all, when Ukraine gave Crimea, yeah, like present to Russia, yeah, that was
yeah,
the first. And then when they always want to attack Donbass in order that not to be the part of Ukraine. So I think why? Because Ukraine needs to get rid of the people who really on the elections, if you like, who always voted for pro-Russian parties, And if they get rid of Crimea, yeah, and if they get rid of Donbass, they will
yeah,
never. That opposition, now there's a position, yeah, that is pro-Russian. That will never just get more votes, and that is why today's Ukrainian government is against the federative system. As you know, if that will be the federal in different states and in Kiev as well, there will be voted pro-Russians and more. That will be only, and in other cases they will just, for example, the Uzhgorod, yeah, if you know this, Zakarpatskaya Oblast,
yeah.
that will just go to 100 in some territories as well. And maybe I think that Poland will really like to make the referendum, yeah.
Yeah,
And that like the Putin big birds were in Crimea, like the Putin's face and welcome home in Crimea. So maybe in Lviv of 2017 there will be the big billboards with the face of Poland, president of Poland, and and also Lviv, welcome home. Yeah, and so that can also be, and so that's why. Um, that is, I do not know how that decision will be found actually, as the government today is against all the referendums. Yeah, so I do not know, but of course there will be no war. Of course, Russia will never attack Ukraine. As just why? Yeah, that also was a very interesting fact. That I was in Russian church in Zelenogorsk, that is just next to St. Petersburg. There is a really good, the really interesting church, and near the icon there was how this was the priest, yeah, or
yeah.
in English,
The priest.
Otchemash. what's it? What is that? Очень наши receipt. How is it called? The word молитва. What's
Prayer.
the prayer? Yeah. There was a text, a prayer for peace in Ukraine. Yeah, in Russian church. Yeah.
Yeah,
So although who says in Russian version, so tell me why in Russian church there are the text of praise. So people just really want to pray. That's why there are such texts. Yeah, and as well as that was really the great that action that was in Kiev. Yeah, for like 2 weeks. Yeah, those Orthodox walk to Kiev and there to in one pray for peace in Ukraine that was held in Kiev. Yeah, do you know about that?
yeah, yeah.
Крестный ход.
The
That was
the crosswalk.
yeah, the crosswalk that is also to
Yeah,
the date of
yeah,
Vladimir. Yeah, so that
yeah.
was
For peace in Ukraine. Yeah, it's some
yeah.
sort of like Ukrainian Martin Luther King or something like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I saw that, and I also heard that there were attempts from the ultra nationalists, from the banderistas, from those to to actually hinder this march and.
Hmm. But thanks God, yeah, thanks God, everything was peaceful. That's why I understand that everything is controlled by, by some guys just, and they say no, and just, just no attacks.
Yeah,
That's why we understand that everything is controlled.
yeah, but I hope the church is praying for peace, and I hope God will give peace to Ukraine someday, and someday that will the conflict will be resolved. But however, I see more and more prepping, and the Kiev forces are actually prepping for another assault on Donbass. So is there going to be another war, just another Kiev assault on Donbass?
I don't think that will be the real meaning of the word war. They just always hit some points here. Sometimes, as there are no professionals in Ukrainian army. Sometimes, yeah, they hint in some places working with people, but that actually I think that for people living, they really live there in Donetsk, in the after, they have no ordinary life there. Yes, of course, it shows this on TV. Of course, it's like some kind of propaganda. Of course, it's dangerous. Yeah, as now professionals of Ukrainian, most of them they are drunk and yeah, or also some heroin junkies are even there. There's first of all, as I'm like me, like Ukrainian, like Russian Ukrainian.
Yeah,
So I want first of all to all people understand the difference between the regular army that is in Ukraine and those battalions here like Azov and some other where there are some criminals where there were just really Nazis, fascists, and so that's why some the ordinary guys who just couldn't if he couldn't do anything. He should go only in army or he should go to prison. And he
yeah,
has wife, he has kid. What should he do? Yeah, and he must just go to protect his motherland. Uh, and of course he's some kind of stupid, but he cannot do anything more. And some of them, of course, get the false idea. So about another hint. No, I don't think that will be a great war but that is also uh, but it's also a good deal to make this war situation in Ukraine for today's government, as in that case they couldn't provide any elections, and Poroshenko and the other politics will just have their own places with no any more elections. That's why they could make some war station, but I did not think that would work out. I think that just there is one thing actually. The Orthodox Church, I think now is the time of the Orthodox Church. Just sometimes try to maybe solve that conflict. As you know, this crosswalk that was in Kiev, and what it says, so that pray in Russian Church. I think that is really the way out. Maybe for some people, that so those pro-Nazi Ukrainians should just understand that. Maybe in the Orthodox, in the right Orthodox, that all we are brothers actually.
yeah.
The Russians, the Ukrainians, and all the Slovenian, all the Slaviani,
Slavs, yeah,
all the Slavs, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but there are actually people in Ukraine. Many of them are just brainwashed they, in one of your videos, you compare them to a flock of sheep. You know, bam.
Yeah, bamboo, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I don't,
what my question is is there any way to, to get them to see the light, to,
to see the light.
yeah,
I
you
think
know
that
what I mean.
if there were any, if they will get work, yeah, if they could find anything to do, just maybe to repair or maybe just to dig the hole somewhere. I don't know, to dig the ground. Maybe just then they will just try to think. And in other way, I don't think that just not to use the internet, just not to watch the television. First of all, yeah, that's all that zombie process should be blocked. Yeah, and first of all, that is like on the internet. Yeah, that was really five billions of dollars. Yeah, were paid for that actually. That's why that works.
Yeah.
So just not to watch it everything. Yeah, not to read some, not to read some, yeah, some of those publics in we just saw we just we where they so. Oh, I'm sorry for a moment.
Okay.
Я перезвоню вам. Yeah. For the stuff, yeah, just get rid, first of all, to get rid of
Okay.
propaganda.
Yeah. So I know you have traveled around Europe a lot of times, and you have been in many countries, such as, Austria, and, where else have you been? Austria,
Switzerland, Germany, for example. Switzerland, Germany.
yeah, yeah,
That,
Switzerland,
well, for all the EUs, yeah.
yeah,
Hungary.
yeah. So, and you also have been in Russia for, many times, and
Since my maybe birth, since my birth every year for a couple of months. You know, like my family is mixed. Yeah, sorry, your question.
yeah. So, what can you say? What do people in Europe think about Ukraine and its perspective of joining the EU? Because I can say that many people in the EU, in the US, in Canada, in throughout the Western world, they
Mm.
didn't.
I understand. I understand the question. First of all, I want to say that you know that Euromaidan was the first time when the foreigners actually understood that Ukraine is not Russia. And maybe that was just maybe the first of all like for that on the media that yeah only after the Euromaidan most of people started to understand that Ukraine is really the separate state. Yeah,
Yeah,
that they could also some acting somewhere, but just the foreigners even most of all they know only Chernobyl, yeah, and some Shevchenko, Klitschko, yeah, and that was for most of the time. Yeah, there's also just Russia, just all the Soviet people. So if the Ukrainians want to think that they're so special, yeah, that they're Europeans, no, for the Europeans they were always the Soviet people like Russians.
yeah,
Yeah, that is the first. Oh, sorry, what was yeah, what do people think? Yeah,
yeah,
so that's the first side about Russians. So you know they all like Russians. For example, in Vienna, yeah, where most of the tourists and where I spent most of of my time. Yeah, I spent there as my sister lived there. Yeah, she's the pianist. She's the magister of the Vienna's university, music university. Yeah, and so I since maybe 1998, almost every year I go to Vienna, and since and every year, mostly I go to as well. I go to Russia, you know, and I I understand the process. Yeah, well, like everything was changes, like that was changes in Russia and that was changing in Europe, and you
yeah,
know, in Russia everything was changing to the better side, and in Europe everything was is changing to the worse side. As you know, like the contrast, for example, my first Europe, no, maybe it's not. Maybe my first time like in Bulgaria, man, is not a good example. As that was like also the Soviet times. Yeah, maybe the first that really showed me, yeah, the difference between our countries. Maybe that was 1998, where I visited Switzerland and I visited Austria, and when I saw the life, yeah, in those countries, and what the life was in Kiev, and even what the life was in Russia, in Moscow. Yeah, that was really, oh, I don't want to say oh, some rude words. Yeah, that, oh shit, just
Yeah.
that's the bad translation. Yeah, like, sorry, we'll just cut off that. But oh god, yeah, welcome. Just the question was, oh god, what's the difference? Yeah, and in Russia, as you know, the children playgrounds were empty. There were actually no children that, or at the end of the 90s, no one played even, yeah, in the streets. No one mom with babies. And with every year I go, for example, to Europe, to Vienna. I've seen, first of all, you can find there only Asians. Yeah, the Asians were really the most. No, I mean, for the foreigners, that contrast from the migrants, they were the only nation that you can see. But then every year, step by step, you know that most of those Arabian people that go there, yeah, and for the last my visit there, that was in 1914, yeah, before my leg was broken. Yeah, there were so many of those migrants, and you know that was even not those times of Syria of when they counted thousand, but just by that time they were really, and there were, and over time the crimes rise, yeah, in also in Vienna that became also dirty, that became dangerous just to walk on the streets. And you know, when in Russia I feel really confident. I see the service, I see the good roads. Yeah, of that contract that was in the 90s and that contract that was made by Putin. So that I can say, yeah, like the Ukrainians. But the problem is that uh, most of my соотечественников, I remember,
Compatriots.
most compatriots,
Yeah, of your compatriots. Yeah.
most of my compatriots, yeah, they didn't see Russia and they didn't visit the European Union countries. Yes, they just haven't seen that. They don't understand what is going actually now. Yeah, now they still like in the early 90s there was first the West propaganda with the foreign products, foreign movies, foreign culture. Yeah,
Yeah.
and now you know that Ukraine like some like mm, like some brainless people that just stop. They now the second wave of of West propaganda in Ukraine. Yeah, like in the Soviet times, against with the same. Yeah, no leaders, free love, and etc. So some actually I can tell continuously speak about that problem, but I think that will shortly what I mostly want to say.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have anything else to say, or should we, stop right now?
Uh, I think what I want to say is just I'm really welcome everyone to Positive Russia page and to leave their comments under our posts. And I wish everyone good luck and
Yeah.
everything will be all right.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks Soviet Bear and subscribe. All the guys that are watching me on this Soviet Bear,
Yeah.
subscribe,
Yeah.
like, and donate this guy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, bye. Thank you. Thank you for coming. We will sure meet again sometime, someday. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.